It's time for more hokey kung fu action. Today we're taking a look at the Snake Fist Dynamo, starring Eric Yee and Dick Lee. Look at this DVD cover. Looks so badass. The hero's silhouette leaning on a staff. The tagline, "They strike fast and deadly." The back gives us a plot synopsis. When the government sends in men to locate a guarded treasure, they come under attack by the snakes who protect it. That has almost nothing to do with the film. Researching this film, I found out everything I knew about it was basically wrong. It took literal hours of research because I have too much time on my hands, but I think I solved the mystery. Searching Snake Fist Dynamo 1984 film on Google basically got me nothing, except a little blurb on Amazon where they're selling the film for $9.99. A total ripoff since I got the film for $1, and it came with the movie Hands of Death. It also claims the film was directed by Stuart Heisler, an outright lie. Stuart Heisler is an American filmmaker famous for his work with actors like Humphrey Bogart and Bette Davis. He died in 1979, 5 years before Snake Fist Dynamo was supposedly made, but the rabbit hole goes much deeper. I eventually found the film on IMDb through sheer luck, because there it's under a different title. There they call it Ironhead, and the blurb is even more bullshit than the one in the DVD title. He has the soul of a dragon, the heart of a lion, and the skill of a snake. Nobody could touch him. No one would dare. Those who try meet a grim fate at the hands of Dragon Snake Fist. It claims the movie's director was Chi Lo, which, yes, his personal page credits him as the director of Ironhead. And it was apparently written by Godfrey Ho, the guy who directed
Duel of the Top.
IMDb also has its release date as June of 1974, 10 years before the supposed release date of Snake Fist Dynamo, but I can actually explain this. The film Ironhead was released by the Tai Sing Film Company in 1974 under the title Ironhead. In 1984, it was released by Adda Audiovisual Limited in English-speaking countries under a number of different titles, one of them being Snake Fist Dynamo. Well, that was a confusing mess. The movie's not much better. The film opens up with our main character giving a speech to his students.
You must remember, each one of you, you're learning to fight purely for health reasons.
As far as I know, the film never gives him a name, at least not in this early section where they're supposed to be introducing him as a character, so I'm gonna call him Doofus. Also, is it just me or does he look kinda like Asian Adam Sandler? Doofus and his students start training. How exactly does this count as martial arts training? It comes across more like a horrible fetish. Doofus does some more dumb shit while the kids ooh and ah, and when they return to the dojo, a stranger is there waiting for them. He breaks the sign and announces he's come to challenge the master and kick him out.
Your days of doing business here are over forevermore.
Doofus is having none of it.
My friend, martial arts aren't for picking fights.
Voice acting is like a straight uppercut to the ball sack. The stranger goads our hero into a fight and... What? What are they doing? You might think, hey, Doofus is unconventional, but he's probably secretly a skilled fighter. Well, you would be wrong. He has no idea what he's doing, and I'm not just bashing the choreography, it is an actual plot point that he taught himself kung fu out of shitty how-to manuals. Literally, the only reason he wins this fight is because the guy decides to boot him in the cock, and he happens to be wearing an iron jockstrap.
Ironhead style.
First of all, why would you name your film for a random dick joke? Second of all, no! Guy's over here talking to kids about his iron head, no! Turns out the guy Doofus defeated has two brothers who will likely come seeking revenge, so Doofus makes up some bullshit about traveling the land.
Oh, I want to find worthy opponents.
And runs off, leaving the oldest boy in charge. The three brothers arrive, but instead of seeking revenge, they came to study under Doofus. Oh, and an amusing anecdote. During the fight, the audio just cuts out. At first I thought I knocked out my headphones, so I start messing with the headphone jack, and when that didn't work, I cranked up the volume, and that's when the audio came back. With this.
Yeah.
I guess the sound is just mixed like that. Who needs eardrums, am I right? Doofus wanders off and harasses some wildlife. He eventually comes across an inn where he settles in for a meal. The waitress asks where he came from, and he tells her he's some kind of wandering hero.
I am a fighter for justice.
You bucket of bullshit!
As is the way of things in kung fu movies, a couple of thugs show up and start harassing the waitress and beating up her husband, the inn's owner. Another patron reminds our hero that he fights for justice, so he gets stuck taking on one of the thugs. Again, by pure dumb luck, Doofus wins the fight. The other patron beats the crap out of the second thug because this guy actually knows kung fu. In gratitude for his help, the waitress pays Doofus's tab and offers him a room for the night. Later, he reads one of his manuals in the light from a candle on his head. This might appear to be some kind of training, but I assure you it is not. Doofus is just a doofus. The waitress shows up and tries to seduce him by teleporting half-naked into his bed, and Doofus panics. That's an understandable reaction after witnessing someone break the laws of time and space. She gets quite offended at this, so she starts shouting.
Rape! Someone help! Rape!
Doofus grabs his stuff and makes a run for it, closely followed by the husband wielding a meat cleaver. He's aided in his escape by this guy, whose name is also never mentioned. But he's a thief who was casing the joint when he saw what went on in Doofus's room. I think I'm gonna call him Drongus. The next day, Doofus and Drongus walk down the road passing a funeral procession.
I told you not to be the damn captain, but you just had to go ahead and do it, and now you're dead and I'm broke and I'm all alone. Oh no, how can I go on? How can I make a living?
Drongus suggests they go to a restaurant, but of course, when it's time to pay, he expects Doofus to do it. And Doofus forgot his wallet when he escaped from the inn, so they start a fight in order to get themselves kicked out. As they're leaving the restaurant, a random villager runs in and tells everyone that gold has been found nearby, so everyone rushes out to go dig some up, making Doofus and Drongus think they're being chased down for the money they owe. I like how they just immediately believe without question the entire town wants to beat their asses for a dine and dash. Because it's the only way to go, they wind up on the hill where everyone's digging gold. Even the funeral procession from earlier. The corpse is just carelessly tossed aside, where of course, Doofus trips over it and rolls down the hill with the corpse. He falls down into a buried ancient tomb, apparently where all the gold is coming from. Now we get a look at the corrupt mayor and his assistant.
My post hasn't brought me any money at all. I know that other mayors all over the country have amassed great fortunes, and yet as mayor I've made no money at all here, let alone a fortune.
They realize the gold is probably from the ancient tomb, but rather than clear up the rumor, they decide to spread it around and bring in prospective tourists. We get a quick look at a casino where the waitress from the inn earlier runs a dice game, and this old gambling addict guy bets his pants. Then the mayor and his assistant walk down the street and see some thugs chasing a woman.
Master Chief, it seems there might be trouble.
Yes?
You must solve it.
So they put up a flyer looking for a new security captain. Doofus and Drongus run into each other again, and Drongus convinces Doofus he should apply for the position for some easy money. Doofus expresses some concern.
Well, I'm not really that good. I've learned fighting only from books, you see.
But Drongus reassures him.
Nobody wants this job. You'll get it easily. No problem, understand?
At the mayor's office, Doofus is questioned by the assistant.
This job needs real martial arts.
So Doofus wrecks up the place and they give him the job. Doofus tells the mayor he'll need an assistant and brings in Drongus. Meanwhile, the local crime syndicate, the ones who killed the previous security captain, hear word that Doofus took the job.
Hey, boss, they've appointed a new captain in the town.
Oh.
He's known to be a very good fighter, and he's very smart, and all the villagers respect him dearly.
Okay, calm your tits, Mandark. They make plans to take out Doofus, and then we cut to two guys discussing Doofus taking the security position.
I've also heard he's a good fighter.
I don't believe it. Hey, let's fight him.
This whole thing is stupid. For the most part, it's just more slapstick, and the voice actor for Doofus being obnoxious. Then out of the blue, he pulls this shit off. It almost looks like he's about to legitimately fight these guys, but then the mayor breaks it up. Doofus storms off and the mayor reveals his plan to the two, since apparently they work for him?
I gave him the job, so he's gonna be killed.
He then appoints them to manage the casino and sends them to order a coffin for Doofus.
Oh, God. Nowadays, everything's so weird. Young men like you wanting coffins? Are you about to die?
Oh, for fuck's sake. The voice acting in this film is bad, but this guy takes it to entirely new heights. Back at the casino, the guy who tried to bet his pants earlier is back at it and running out of money. His wife shows up to yell at him, so he tries to sell her to the new managers.
The way I'm gonna save these nice gentlemen here are instantly buying you, wife.
Fortunately, this madness is cut short by the arrival of Doofus and Drongus. Gambling is apparently illegal, and they don't know the mayor actually runs this place, so they try to bust it up. Doofus meets the waitress again, who tells him that her husband abandoned her because of their affair, and then a big brawl breaks out. The mayor breaks it up, and we cut to another scene where one of the gangsters comes looking for Doofus at a restaurant and picks a fight.
Hey,
You are really aggressive.
You're right. I want to fight with you.
Doofus tells him he's not worth fighting, and that even his students could defeat him. And lucky for him, the random patron from the inn earlier, the one who actually knows Kung Fu, shows up and is totally down to play along. He beats the crap out of the thug and sends him running. Later that evening, he catches up with Doofus and then tells him he works for the government, and he's been sent to investigate the gold mine rumor that's been circulating. Doofus reveals that it's no mine, but a tomb, while the mayor's assistant listens at the door. He reports back to the mayor, who hatches a plan.
they are the only two that know anything about that tomb. We must kill them both.
Meanwhile, the thug returns to the gang and tells them the captain's student kicked his ass. Then the mayor's assistant arrives and offers the gang the treasure in the tomb in exchange for eliminating Doofus and the secret agent. Later that night, a team of assassins sneaks into the building where Doofus, Drongus, and
Secret Agent Man
are staying, and it goes about how you would expect. Doofus gets the drop on one and they start brawling.
Secret Agent Man
Legitimately beats the living hell out of one while Doofus and Drongus slapstick the other two to death.
Our trick has failed.
They decide to get the waitress to try and seduce the location of the tomb out of Doofus, so she gets him really drunk and breaks the laws of time and space again. He eventually spills the beans. She tells the mayor and he and his assistant run off to the cave to locate the treasure. But they're murdered by one of the gangsters, who then heads off to the cave to claim the treasure for himself, even though there's no way he would have known where it was. But fuck it, I don't care. Do you care? He gets killed by a snake, and that's the end of that.
Secret Agent Man
Fights against a different gangster, one who manages to beat him, so he tells Doofus and Drongus he's going to go and get reinforcements from headquarters, and that they should run because the remaining gangsters are far too tough. As they walk down the road on their way out of town, Doofus is reunited with one of his students, and the guy he fought at the beginning of the film who has come to beg Doofus to take him on as a pupil. Then they run into the last two gangsters, the guy who beat up
Secret Agent Man
and the big boss. This kicks off the big climactic fight, 4 against 2, at least at first. For the first couple of minutes, our heroes are obviously outmatched, but they manage to hold their own through, what else, slapstick. Like stealing the one guy's belt and making his pants fall. Doofus keeps flipping through his manuals looking for different martial arts styles to try out, and for some reason, the one guy just lets him. He still gets his ass beat, of course, but he does keep the guy busy long enough for Secret Agent Man to arrive with help. Some actual fighters show up and take the two gangsters into custody. Doofus and Drongus are thanked for their service, and then the credits roll. Where do I start with this thing? Everything was bad. The first thing that really jumps out is the sound mixing. Everything is muffled and quiet, and sometimes the sound just up and quits. Half the characters sound like they were recorded on a tin can with some string. The voice acting is exceptionally abysmal. I mean, I was expecting bad, but this?
Young men like you wanting coffins?
My post hasn't brought me any money at all.
It would be more forgivable if there were any memorable or quotable lines, but there aren't. The main character is just obnoxious. The joke with him being a bumbling idiot who doesn't know how to fight could have worked if he himself didn't have the charisma of curdled milk. He doesn't come across as funny or endearing, he's just annoying. And maybe that's the fault of the voice actor. The choreography blows, even for the people who are supposed to know how to fight. They keep it very basic and very boring. A lot of this film's attempts at humor just fall flat, like the guy literally gambling his pants away, or the funeral procession running off to find gold and just dumping the body by the wayside. Like, I guess they could have been funny, but it just didn't do it for me. It's like this movie sucks the joy and fun out of everything. Oh, and most of the major characters don't even have names. Turns out Doofus actually does have a name, but they only say it a couple of times in the last third of the movie, and it's really easy to miss. It's Ho Tung. His name is Ho Tung. On the Tommageddon scale of awful, I give this film a 2. It's not fun. I watch hokey kung fu films because they're fun, and this movie is not fun. It's supposed to be a comedy, but I didn't laugh at a single joke. In fact, the only time I laughed throughout this entire thing was when the waitress teleported around, and I doubt that was intentional. This movie is painful. Skip it. Anyway, I've been Tom, and thanks for watching Tommageddon.